Hey guys, and welcome back to part 2 of the wet sanding and polishing on our Subaru WRX STI build series. In this episode, we need to actually get the original paint, the body of the vehicle, polished out and looking as good as those brand new parts, utilizing the RUPES line of products. And well, the results speak for themselves. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
So far, looks like the paint is a little bit on the soft side. So what we're seeing, the more aggressive we get, the more haze we're getting out of the finish. So we're trying to eliminate steps by getting at least the least amount of haze we can get on our cutting stage. Unfortunately, some of the defects are deep enough that we're having to get aggressive. So there's going to be spots on this car that require 2 steps. One to cut the defect, one to refine the paint. But then other spots are behaving pretty well and they're not hazing. So seems to be a few different things going on. Maybe there's a refinish spot here or there on the car, but we're gonna try not to sing out a minimum of 2. We don't want to do any more than 2 steps if we don't have to. We're gonna flush our pads because we're also seeing that even the finer stuff is hazing the paint after like the 2nd or 3rd pass, so it means our pad is getting loaded. We're blowing them out with compressed air, but to aid that a little bit, we're gonna add some water, make it easier to kind of flush these fiber pads out a little bit more. That way we're working cleaner, so after every pass we're gonna spray water, blow the pad out, reload again, and that way we kind of manage our residue levels that are causing haze.
So through a little bit of testing, we found out that a pretty good combination for this paint's hardness is going to be the yellow wool with the DA Fine. You'll notice it's very similar to the system Dylan's using, except just size for the smaller tool. So this is going to make it much more effective to get in all of your smaller areas, what we call edge work. So you can think about that as essentially the outside 2 inches of every panel, the 2 inches around your door handles, your A, B, and C pillars, any of the small stuff where that 6-inch pad just isn't going to get effectively. So I'm doing a very similar process, just size down for a 3-inch tool to fit into these tighter areas.
All right, guys, well, that was a long day.
Heck yeah, it was.
My shirt's really messy, so I had to throw it in the wash.
Oh, okay. Well, not me. I actually did my laundry earlier. I think they caught it on camera somewhere.
Think you actually, okay.
Yep.
Well, anyway, point is, we had a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was probably the funnest I've had in a long time because we got to get in, we got to rip it and tip it.
Yep.
We got to turn it and burn it.
Yep. Literally, yeah.
I don't know what else the other slogans there are, but point is, we had a ton of fun and we couldn't have done it without all of our friends who came here to do this.
Give us a walk around. What did you guys end up using? What was the process? I know we talked about it in the video, but I know people are probably curious and want to the cliff notes. What ended up being the final pad, the final compound, the final polish you guys ended up using to get the finish?
We tried as best we could to try and do it. One step wasn't going to do it, wasn't cooperating. So by and large, it ended up being the medium yellow wool. DA Fine, and we did kind of a cutting pass with that. Occasionally switching to DA coarse depending on the level of defects because there were spots on this car that you could tell somebody had loved a little bit too much. And then we got around the other side, and that's when we figured out there's been a respray. And on the other side of the car, we realized there's probably not a lot of paint to work with, so we went a little bit more delicate on that, on the heavy cutting stage. Then the whole thing got Uno Pure with a white pad just to kind of brighten it up, clean it up. And she looks good. I mean, we got almost everything out of it.
That paint, really love that Uno Pure.
It did. That was like the perfect, just final touch to clean up, get the haze out of it and stuff. And then I'm wearing a lot of headlight residue because, well, we had to sand and try on some headlights. Yeah, and Troy's wearing some too.
You guys have to remove the entire coating off the headlight.
Both layers, yeah.
Okay,
Both layers. One extremely heavy layer. You could talk about the headlights.
Yeah, we had our standard yellow clear coat that gets put on there by the factory. There was also a hand-applied wipe-on clear coat by a previous owner of the vehicle. So we had quite a bit of sanding to do on those to remove all that film off there. Then How many grits did we end up going
We
through?
went 600. We did 600,000, 1,500, 3,000 to get all the way through this thing.
Yep. Worked out really well though. With all those extra sanding steps, we were able to get a really good polish out, one step with one of our coarse blue wool pads and the DA coarse compound.
So,
Yeah.
like brand new headlights on this thing.
Yeah.
And so the plan is that we're going to be PPFing them. So obviously they're not going to be able to oxidize if the air can't get to them. And so we're going to throw on some decent PPF, and it's going to protect it for years to come. And what's great about PPF on freshly restored headlights is that once that PPF does yellow, has any problems, simply strip it, brand new sheet goes on, and it's good to go. And so we're really excited to get that done. But other than that, though, you guys tackled the spoiler, which was very intricate, but you're able to get into that.
Yeah, one of the parts we didn't repaint because it's so intricate to break apart.
Yeah.
We're worried that if we tried to put it back together, we'd break it.
And there's some spots that we improved, didn't
Yes.
totally fix, but they're not spots you're going to see that easily. You know, kind of weird places for people to look. But yeah, no, it came out real good. Quick sanding. Mr. Kilmer came over and hand sanded the snot out of it, even though we didn't want him sanded. He did it anyways.
Yeah.
And then it buffed out nice. So yeah, I as much as we could squeeze out of this paint, I think we did. We definitely got it to as good as it's gonna get at this point.
I love it. It really started to glow. And then Anthony, did you do a little paint touch up on there?
Yeah, so I did some rock chip repair. So we started with the Brembos first, and so fortunately, while Dr. Color Chip doesn't make a color-matched Brembo paint, we were able to find a really close color for the Brembos, which is off of a Honda. It's a very golden color with a lot of metallic in it, and so it was a pretty close match. Not exact, but it was close enough. And so there was large gouges missing out of those calipers, and because of the previous wheels that they threw on, the Rotas, which we're not going to talk about right now, there was some big gashes that happened because of the clearance issues on those. And so what we ended up doing is, again, going through after getting all the brakes bled and doing all the brake work that we needed to do, then we did the rock chip repair. So went through the Dr. Color Chip, got all that filled in, and then I started working on the body of the car. And that was a little bit harder because typically when it comes to rock chip repair, the larger the chip, typically the easier it is for me to work with. Sometimes on the smaller chips, it's more of a pain because when it goes on the wipe off or when I'm trying to fill it, I can't always get it to stick exactly how I want to because it overfills, and when I try to level it, it wipes right out. So I was able to work in the bigger chips. A lot of the smaller chips, I just kind of took the rash approach and just covered a majority of it, wiped it off, and then called it good. But I think it turned out a lot better. A lot of the scratches were the hardest part because some of the scratches were all the way down to the metal, and because they were such fine scratches, I had to really get in there and try to fill everything the best I could, and it looks good.
It looks really good. I'm excited. Then we had all those painted parts. Now, everything was painted by our friend Sean McNally at Regenerated Rides. However, they weren't finished. They were raw, straight out of the gun. So we did a lot of sanding on the hood, the trunk, the front bumper, the side skirts, and the lip spoiler. So now we just got to put everything on the car.
Yeah. So now the next step is going to be piecing everything back together. So we're going to grab everybody here. We're going to try to find as many pop clips as we can and piece back together our Subaru. So,
Look in the trash for some of those.
oh yeah. All right. Anyways, so let's get started. All right, guys, what a freaking day. We put in so much time and work into finishing up our Subaru WRX project, but we're not quite done yet. We've reassembled the car, got most of the bits back on here.
I didn't think we'd have anything on it for like another week.
I know, here we are. Spoilers on, side skirts are on.
The trunk lock works.
The trunk lock works, who would have thought, right? So we've made some serious progress today, and we are one step closer to putting CSU on the Subaru here. So what's next, Levi?
Well, we've got the boys, we got Juan Gonzalez from ASD Detailing. We've got Buck Hugaboom from Buck's Legend in the house.
Yep.
And we have Eric Joseph as well as David Patterson, who are all accredited installers of CSU. So we're doing it by the book. But we brought in the boys. They're going to be coating it tomorrow.
Yep.
We may or may not have paid them in shoes.
Yeah.
But the point is, the car's getting coated and it's going to get even glossier. So even as good as this looks like now, it's going to look even better once we get a nice coating on it.
All right, so as always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the coating process.